everyone please mute yourself so that
Google, I think the PPT is visible.
yes.
Sure. Okay, let me do switch out here, right? Hello, Mughal, is the PPT visible?
Yes, visible, Satyendra ji. You
No, but it
just
is
put it
not.
on presentation mode.
It is not visible fully.
Presentation mode is needed.
Presentation mode. Okay. Just a second, please.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay. No, I think it should be visible now.
Yes.
Just 1 minute. Yeah, absolutely
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So, very good evening, everyone. Or today it's 7th of April and time is around 7 p.m. in the evening. And we are lucky enough to have our respected guest, Arnab, uh, who is obviously the honorary advisor for exploring nature, and has done commendable job in the field of environmental research, his photography, and all those kind of things. So we are really honored to have him on this panel. Before actually I start up the show, let me introduce everyone about the exploring nature. As far as the exploring nature is concerned, it is a wildlife consultancy company, and obviously it's like a community of like-minded people in the sense that those who love nature, to be in nature, to understand the nature, what nature says, what are its tune, what are its rhythm, the music, every damn thing that we can have from the nature, and obviously we can give back to the nature. So this is like the community of the like-minded people who don't want to actually take something from the nature, but actually want to contribute to the cause of the nature. So that is our fundamental philosophy, and definitely we envision a future where people can develop a deep connection within themselves, deep connection with the nature, deep connection with the environmental sciences, just to safeguard the interests of the environment, the humanity, the nature, and everything that we see around, so that we actually coexist. So that is the fundamental thing, and obviously seeing the circumstances, the issues, the problems that we face across the world. Global warming is a buzzword for that. So obviously, just to take care of all those kind of things, we actually envision a tomorrow where every action is guided by the principles of conservation, and our future generation have to benefit from it, and that is our fundamental philosophy. So this is the main crux of warming the exploring nature. And just to enrich everyone who is present here, who are present here, like our vision is to create a world where every individual cherishes the beauty of nature, and therefore we have the mission to inspire and educate individuals across, so that there is a mass awareness about the environment, obviously the exploring nature, the environment, the nature, and everything that we can do for it. And we actually aspire for the future, so that whatever the conservation principles are there, we actually take care of all those kinds of things, and definitely we contribute, we harmonize with the rhythms of nature, and ensure a better and more sustainable tomorrow for everybody, whether they are the human beings, whether they are the flora or the fauna, everything that we see across. So therefore, we have created a platform that is called Jungle Chimes, which obviously hosts a regular talk show delivered by the domain experts. And in this series, we have gathered here today. And nature, obviously, we understand as far as the rhythms are concerned. Obviously, the jungle is there, the nature is there. So the term Jungle Chimes somehow correlate with that, and we have to take care of the pollution aspects, we have to take care of climate change, we have to take care of over exploitation of natural resources, the habitat loss and everything. So that is like the experts are doing their wonderful job in different areas. So we are honored to have them on our platform now and then, so that we can share their experiences, their insights, and obviously learn and develop ourselves, so that we actually do contribute across. Right. Similarly, on the platform, we have the Whispering Wilds, which is actually an e-magazine as of now. That is again aiming to create awareness about the nature and educate people, so that they just form a community, they collaborate, they interact, and obviously support the environment, the nature, in a more responsible and sustainable way. So that is about Whispering Wilds, which actually is our e-magazine. And we have launched different versions of it. So it was like in January 2023. Then we had our April issue, and apart from that, means we actually have a broader vision. We not only want to just to have the e-magazine or talk show, but actually we want to go to the roots. We want to take people along. We do nature trails, we do photo walks, we do conduct a wildlife photography workshop, and obviously inspire the people to take wildlife as a career. So for that, we have fundamental basic wildlife photography workshop. We have advanced wildlife photography workshop. We have boot camps. We have journalism aspects there. We have photography expeditions. We are actually into consulting as well. We promote wildlife tourism in collaboration with premium resorts and various agencies across. We have a landscape and astrophotography workshop. These are some of the services that we are showcasing here, but obviously we are having more of them, and we are trying to include more and more of these kind of services, right? And as far as the nature trail and photo walks is concerned, it is around 2 to 4 hours, and that is carried across for all age groups, so that they understand the signs and signals of the nature, and they can obviously capture the natural history that's there in the presentable way. Because uh, people who actually understand how the nature is working, how the signs are there, so they understand, and they obviously they can pass on the information to different people across the audience, the visitors, right? So that is the fundamental aspect of it. And these are the kind of photo walks and nature trails we had done in the past. So this is wildlife photography nature trail and workshop photo walk was done on 2nd October 2023 at City Park, Bokaro, Steel City, Jharkhand. So different people were there. Obviously, it was Nikon was one of the key member there, and that was widely covered across media. Then Jais was there in one of the nature walk that we did at Sultanpur Bird Sanctuary in 2022. And similarly, we have wildlife photography and wildlife as a career. So we actually conduct these kind of sessions in different colleges, institutions, and people. So this is like again one of the major aspects that we actually do and aspire to do in future as well. And obviously, we are not unsung. We are actually present in different media channels. Like you see, we have conducted a career workshop at DAV school in Jharkhand. The media actually covered across. So it has been a long journey, and we are just as you can see on the presentation, that Hindustan, Dainik Jagran, and all these kind of leading newspapers have covered us, right? And apart from the basic wildlife photography workshop, which actually lasts for 8 hours, where we conduct different fundamental aspects of wildlife photography, we have advanced photography workshop as well. That is for 2 or 3 day full day program, where different photographers actually come, they share their experiences, and obviously the learners learn and improve their skills. So this is like again 2 hours to 8 hours to 2 to 3 days full day workshop we do there. Then we obviously organize wildlife boot camp, that the duration of which is around 5 days. So this is again a major thing that we do. We have been involved into wildlife consulting. And we have worked with different reserve forests, bird sanctuaries, wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, tiger reserves, and various government and private agencies, so that the major cause, the major fundamental philosophy that we are born with goes across, and our knowledge and expertise can definitely help to ensure the wildlife populations being conserved and protected for future generations. So this is our consulting philosophy, and again, that has been covered across the media, right? So these are some of the glimpses that we have done in the past. And we again promote wildlife tourism because we have to generate an ecosystem where not only the photography or the excursions are done, not only the workshops are conducted, awareness are created, but obviously that there has to be something like the earning, and we have to provide some booties to the habitats present there, so that actually they are the part of this whole thing. So tourism is, again, as you see, this is one of the major revenue generators for the Indian economy, for the local people there. So we again always aspire for promoting wildlife tourism, and again, when we go there to different nature things, the people there are again part of it. So they create something. Their natural creativity, crafts, arts and crafts present there. We promote them. We obviously want to digitize and promote their photographies that the people do there. What are the different aspects, unsung thing, unseen aspects of the wildlife that again we want to cover. So ultimately, we are working with different agencies, different government sector companies, uh, private sector companies again, so that we actually promote the wildlife tourism, so that we and an ecosystem is generated across. So again, photography expeditions are there. These are some of the glimpses, like we had done in Chopta and Manila for 6 days and 7 days, 6 nights and 7 days in the lap of Himalayas in February 2022. Then again, this is all about that we are doing. This is something about exploring nature, and this is just a journey. The journey is never going to end, as far as we see. Our horizon is very, very big, and because of that, we are having you all here at Jungle Chimes talk show on 7th of April 2024. And we have with us Arnab Basu sir. Arnab Basu sir is an environmentalist by training and profession, and is a wildlife enthusiast by hobby. And he has traveled across more than 200 ecotourism destinations of 7 countries in 3 continents. This is something commendable. Obviously, it's like I envy for that, sir. Uh, then again, I mean, so wherever he has gone, this include the Western Himalayas of India and Eastern Himalayas of Bhutan, Northeast India, Western Ghats, Central India, Eastern Ghats, Terai regions of India and Nepal, Mangroves of India and Bangladesh, Tundra region of Scottish Highland, Rainforest of Sumatra, Desert of Kutch, Western India, and Savannah of South Africa, to name some of them. As far as his academic and voluntary work, he has conducted assessment of urban and suburban biodiversity at Kolkata, Salt Lake Wetland, South Bengal. He conducted a study on joint forest management and wildlife in South West Bengal under the supervision of Department of Forest, Government of West Bengal, and under the joint guidance of Environment Management Department of IISWBM and National Afforestation and Ecosystem Eco Development Board, Government of India. So we are really, really proud to have you here, Arnab Basu sir. And before I further invite him again, means you just see whatever the qualifications he has. He has done postgraduate diploma in environmental law from National Law School of India University, Bangalore. He has authored couple of books on contemporary sustainability and environmental justice related issues in different journals and magazines of repute. Right. Currently, he's working on another semi-autobiographical non-fiction novel based on ecotourism in subcontinent of India. So he has more than 2 decades of experience in advisory work on sustainability, nature-based solution, and environmental law. So again, he has done his graduation in botany, which is something really, मतलब बहुत कम लोग ऐसा करते हैं. And he has done post graduation in environment management from Indian Institute of Social Welfare, business management IISWBM Calcutta. So we are really, really honored to have you here. And I just invite Arnab Sir to carry on his show. And he has been the co-host here, so he can take up the presentation here from here onwards. And I stop my presentation here so that he can take this journey in a smoother way.
Okay. Okay, so good evening, all the people who have assembled here today in this platform. And thanks, Satyendraji, for this kind introduction. It's also good to know about exploring nature, what exploring nature does, and how it's actively involved in promoting ecotourism culture across community. And today's my presentation is largely around ecotourism with a perspective which I have gained in several years, and I'll try to elaborate on that. So just let me know once you can see my presentation.
Please, sir.
Once you get to see the slide, let me know.
Yeah, it's there, sir. It's there.
It's there.
Inclusive,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, very good. So, of course, the people who have joined today, for them, ecotourism is definitely a household terminology, especially the urban folks who take time off from their busy schedule and go for vacation. When they go to mountains or beaches or forests or any, the ethnic village, those are generally considered as ecotourism. However, the inclusive ecotourism may not be the well heard of, or may not be as common as the ecotourism term itself. As Satyendraji is saying, that almost for last 10 years, I'm actively involved in ecotourism. And in this journey, I have not just visited the many ecotourism destinations of the world, but also was privileged to interact with a lot of my fellow ecotourists, wildlife photographers, ecotourism organizing companies, the members who work for ecotourism organizing companies, eco-research, people who work in eco-research, nature guides, the guys who drive your vehicle, safari vehicle through forests, and more importantly, the forest dwellers who lives in fringe areas of forests, whose livelihood depend upon forest, and who are the integral part of the forest, which generally we consider as our ecotourism destinations. So this more than decade of interaction with these people kind of developed a kind of perception about the way ecotourism happens across the world, and especially in the subcontinent. And that kind of compelled me to coin this term, inclusive ecotourism, and that's what I'm going to elaborate further in next few slides. So before that, let us understand how ecotourism contribute in economy. You can see this slide, right? If the slide doesn't move, just give me a buzz.
Yeah, it's moving there, sir.
Okay, so it's a phenomenal economy. I mean, globally, the market was valued as $185.8 billion, and it is expected to reach by 2030 around $679.65 billion, which is attaining a compound average growth rate of 15.5%. By 2032, the market is expected to reach $838.5 billion. Asia Pacific, among all part of the world, is considered or found as or expected as to grow fastest in this forecast period. And as for the participants in this ecotourism is concerned, we have found that Generation Y or millennial, as per the age group is considered, are dominating in this market. This generation is generally found has a strong affinity for sustainability, social responsibility, and authentic travel experiences. So when those various surveys were conducted, it was found that the key drivers for participating in ecotourism are mainly a desire for environmental awareness, people who want to be more aware of ecosystems and environment and nature, and who want to experience something authentic, something very local. And those are the main drivers for not just for the millennial, but people across age group when they participate in ecotourism. As I have told that Asia is the fastest growing area as far as ecotourism is concerned, and Europe is the largest, and some part of Europe is actually the largest market for ecotourism. Now, if we try to understand the popularity in ecotourism in terms of wildlife sighting, then this is the chart in front of you, which tells you what are the preferences typically for ecotourists when they go to ecotourism destinations. And a preference analysis of ecotourism in African game reserves is considered over here. The reason is Africa is one of the most sought after ecotourism destinations across globe. And if you can see in this chart, the top or the most preferred wildlife from viewing preferences point of view, from viewing preference point of view are elephant, lion, white rhino, giraffe, cheetah. So basically all the big mammals. And you can also put it this way that bigger the size of the mammal, higher the preferences for seeing that particular wildlife. And it's essentially all the mammals. You can see the big mammals, then herbivores, the small mammals, on mammals, nothing else. And this is not just a statistics. I personally have witnessed this bias for big mammals in ecotourism. Around 10 years back, I was in South Africa in Kruger National Park. And people who have been in Kruger National Park or any part of Africa, they know that there is no dearth of seeing big mammals. Elephants, lions, zebra, giraffe, they just rain, around you. And it's very, very easy actually to see them, much easier than spotting such animals in subcontinental forests. That was the case with us also. I was there for 3 to 4 days. I was accompanied by mainly Western tourists. I was only Indian, and there are few Asian also. There's a Chinese lady with her American husband. There are a couple of South Korean guys. There are a few Caribbean people, but mainly rest of the people are Americans. So 3-4 days, as I have said, there is raining of big mammals like elephant and lion and zebra and giraffe. And on the last day, at the last hour of a safari, our African nature guide, who was also the driver of our vehicle, our safari vehicle, spotted this bird, which is in front of you, a martial eagle. You can see it's a majestic bird, one of the biggest raptors of Africa, and in terms of rarity also, it was one of the topmost birds, because our African natural guide told me that he himself was spotting these birds probably after a few months. So obviously I asked him to stop so that I can take some photos of this bird, and I was ridiculed by my fellow eco-tourists, of course in a lighter note. So they laughed at me. They told me that they are all looking for big mammals throughout our safari tenure, and I asked driver to stop the car for a mere bird. So that is the general attitude for ecotourists towards, or I would say that the kind of bias ecotourists generally keep for big mammals. And because of that, even majestic looking birds or rare birds can take backseat. And this is not just about Africa. Even in India also, if you see, the scene is nothing different. I mean, Indian market, as far as ecotourism's commercial success is concerned, is huge. The market is around $26 million market of 2022, and it is also anticipated to be $51.8 million by 2032, with a growth rate of 19.3%, which is much higher than the global growth rate in this sector. The organization like Nat Geo, Travel Triangle, they conducted a survey to find actually what are the top ecotourism destinations in country, and what was found in front of you: Ranthambore National Park, Jim Corbett, Kaziranga National Park, Nagarhole National Park, or rather the Kabini part of Nagarhole National Park, Gir National Park, Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary, Satpura, Sundarban. So I do not need to say, people who are aware of actually the forests of India or if you can see this map itself, then you will identify that why these parks are top ecotourism destinations. Because these parks are essentially tiger habitats. Ranthambore, Jim Corbett, Kaziranga, Nagarhole, Kabini, of course, Periyar, Satpura, Sundarban are tiger habitats. And Gir is, of course, the one and only home for Asiatic lion. Now, this preference in this bias for big mammals is quite apparent, whether it is in Africa or it is in India or any part of the globe. How the economy looks like, why actually and what happens actually because of this bias for big mammals or the preferences for big mammals or liking of ecotourism for big mammals, how the economy looks like. So if you talk about Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, then the average contribution in economy is around 300 crore in any given year. The district where actually the park is located, Soy Madhopur, that district itself contribute around 350 crore on annual basis as far as ecotourism is concerned. Corbett Park, the revenue goes around 10 crore on an average basis. If you talk about Sundarbans, this revenue could be somewhere between 7 crore and 7.5 crore. These are all 2022-2023 data. In fact, I remember one of our erstwhile environmental minister once made a comment that every single rupee invested in a tiger reserve can return around 2,500 rupees. So that enormous actually the economic potential of tiger reserve in India, which is much more than I don't think any stock exchange can give you, or any stock can give you that much of return. Kaziranga, flagship species is one-horn rhino, but essentially are tiger reserves. The average contribution in as far as revenue is concerned from ecotourism goes somewhere between 7 to 8 crore. Karnataka, considered as one of the most commercially successful states of India as far as its revenue generation from ecotourism is concerned. Flagship species are, of course, elephants, tigers are also there, and leopards. Especially if we talk about the Nagarhole or Kabini tiger reserves of Karnataka, then black leopard is one of the flagship species as it's considered. So this state in year 2022 set a target of 500 crore of revenue generation only from ecotourism, and eventually it exceeded the target and achieved 650 crore. Deer, we know actually known for Asiatic lion, and their annual contribution or average annual contribution as per revenue is considered around 10 to 11 crore. Now, the question is that is this ecosystem? So when we talk about that, the drivers for ecotourism or ecotourists, main drivers for participating in ecotourism are environmental awareness or awareness about ecosystem and nature and authentic experiences. Then is ecosystem all about big mammals or big cats? There's no doubt that if we talk about subcontinental forests exclusively, then most of the forests fall under probably a significant actually area of forest probably fall under tiger habitats. And then for obvious reason, tigers become the apex predator and tiger rule those forests. But the fact is, which is scientifically proved, that vigor or the vitality or the diversity of a forest depend on certain natural nourishment process. And that natural nourishment process depends upon some of the less known, so-called less glamorous species. And that's what I'm going to talk. And that's the reason, and that's basically the essential learning I had in my ecotourism journey, that how those less glamorous species actually are responsible for regeneration and robust and vigority of the forest, which is habitat of our beloved big mammals. And this is what actually I started looking for a solution, that how the ecotourism should not be a single species centric ecotourism, how ecotourism should be much more holistic. And that's what I call inclusive ecotourism. I'll elaborate this further with few examples. Now, Karnataka, as I talked about before, that considered as the state which is most successful as far as revenue generation from ecotourism is concerned. It has 5 tiger reserves, but all 5 tiger reserves are not equally preferred by ecotourists, or the footfall of ecotourists are not as high, or not equally high in all 5 tiger reserves. The tiger reserves, Bandipur, tiger reserves, Nagarhole, or again the Kabini part of Nagarhole especially, and Bhadra tiger reserves. These 3 tiger reserves are immensely popular among ecotourists and wildlife photographers, purely because of the chances of big mammal sighting is very high, especially tigers, elephants, and leopards. Other tiger reserves, BRT and Kali tiger reserves, are relatively less popular. However, if you particularly talk about Kali tiger reserve, it has an astonishing story associated with it. The Kali tiger reserve is one of the largest tiger reserves of Karnataka. The actual tiger reserve is probably around 1,300 and 1,500 square feet. But if you consider the surrounding sanctuaries, Ansi, Dandeli sanctuaries, the entire the region actually where the forest is spread over probably goes little more than 2,000 square kilometers. It is spread across 3 states, Karnataka essentially, and then some part of Goa and Maharashtra are also part of it. But the conservation story of Kali tiger reserves is centered around a bird, not tiger. Malabar pied hornbill. So moment you enter, people who have been in these tiger reserves, Kali tiger reserves, moment you enter, you can feel actually the abundance of Malabar pied hornbill around you. It's almost considered as a sanctuary of Malabar pied hornbill. But that was not the case till early 2000. So I came across a blog written by one of the then chief conservator of Kodagu districts of Karnataka, Mr. Manjunath, and he mentioned in his blog that the one specialty actually of this Malabar pied hornbill is that it has a typical feeding pattern, and that feeding pattern is largely dependent on a particular type of berry trees. So to ensure thriving, to help in thriving population of Malabar pied hornbill, you need actually a good number of that particular species of berry tree in the forest. As per the blog, till early 2000, that protecting that particular berry tree was not in the priority list of forest department. And at the same time, there was rampant hunting and poaching of Malabar pied hornbill by the local community. Then what Manjunath did with the help of local volunteers, he started a campaign. So there's a particular behavioral pattern which is generally displayed by not just Malabar pied hornbill, but most of the hornbills. So there are around 60 species of hornbills in this world, and India itself actually find around 70 types of hornbills. This Dandeli area or the Kali tiger reserve area of Karnataka, we find 4 types of hornbills. Great hornbill, Malabar pied hornbill is of course there, and then Malabar grey hornbill and the common grey hornbill we find. So all these hornbills have a typical behavioral pattern which displays a care for mother and child. So what happens when a female hornbill lays eggs? It confines herself within a hollow of a tree for 3 to 4 months, and it blocks that hollow by her own droppings. Only keep a small window through which the male hornbill can feed mother and the nestlings, the female hornbill and the nestlings. So male hornbill fly out, find foods, and come back and feed the female and the nestlings. Now, in this condition, if the male hornbill get hunted, get killed, then what happens? You do not just kill the male hornbill, you actually destroy the entire family. So Manjunath started spreading this story, spreading this fact to his volunteers with street play and all those things, and it started working. So in India, generally, actually, you have seen that emotional story associated with family bonding and other things work. This also worked. And as a result, the hunting dropped down significantly. The population started growing, and today if you go, as I have said, in Kali tiger reserve, you do not have to put a lot of effort to see at least Malabar pied hornbill. Yeah, that's for sure. Not just that, this Malabar pied hornbill also has a crucial role as far as contribution to ecology is concerned. So, not just Malabar pied hornbill, all hornbills for that matter. It's a big bird actually, most of them except one or two, and it plays an immense role in seed dispersal. So it drops seeds, berry seeds, and that helps in forest restoration. So based on various research, it was found that today's Kali tiger reserves, one of the thickest tiger reserves with dense foliage, are actually due to the thriving population of Malabar pied hornbill and some other hornbills, which contributed significantly in developing this kind of vast and vigor Kali tiger reserves. Because of its high dense foliage, chances of wildlife sighting is relatively less than what we see in Kabini or in Bandipur. And for the same reason, ecotourists and wildlife photographers' footfall are very less, because they want to see big mammals. Essentially, the sighting of big mammals could be a little difficult in Nandali forests. So this is actually the contribution made by a bird, which helped in developing a tiger reserves. So if we like tiger, then in this case, probably we should be grateful actually to this particular bird, which helped in developing this tiger reserves. Now, let me focus on the undergrowth or understory of the forest, or the floor of the forest. So floor of the forest, especially the undergrowth and understory of a tropical rainforest, is the most interesting place, because that is a place where a complex interrelationship develop, which helps in maintaining the vigor of the forest, the natural nourishment process, which I said earlier. So the floor of the tropical rainforest are generally less in vegetation. The reason is the sunlight doesn't reach there because of high canopy trees. Trees are generally 150 feet tall, and rain also doesn't drop so frequently because of the canopy again. So what happens, that place remains dark and damp, and the dark and damp create an ideal habitat for growth of those less glamorous, highly ignored species like bugs, insects, reptiles, including snakes, various types of snakes, frogs and other type of amphibians, fungi. So all those species which are seriously misunderstood and ignored generally by ecotourists and also wildlife photographers. Not every wildlife photographers go for. When you go to a forest, there hardly ecotourists or wildlife photographers are probably aware of existence of this species, and then definitely you are not aware, you cannot really look for those species. Those are not very interesting looking species also in many cases. But what happens if these species do not exist? What this species does? This species does decomposition of dead trees, the remains of dead animal carcass. A tiger kills deer, it eats the deer and leave the remains behind. And that remains need to be decomposed. That decomposition is done by fungi or insects or many other those tiny weird creatures, spiders would be. And so if those species do not exist, then forest floor in a period of time will have pile of dead trees, dead animal carcass. Decomposition process will be very slow, and eventually forest will be destroyed. And if there is no forest, there are no big mammals, there is no big there is no tigers, of course. So this is the essential contribution made by those crawling species. As the example I have given, like various amphibians and insects and bugs and snakes. We generally call them, in zoological term, herpetofauna, like crawling species. They also contribute in pollination. So regeneration and restoration of forest with this natural nourishment process is completely dependent upon these undergrowth species. Just think about a frog. What is the life cycle of a frog? It starts with tadpoles, and tadpoles feed on algae. By doing that, it keeps control on the algal growth or the overgrowth of algal species. Then when it becomes matures, it generally feed on both vertebrates and invertebrates. A mature frogs can be a prey of various other species. It could be a prey of birds, it could be a prey of snake, it could be a prey of other reptiles. So a frog can be prey and predators both. Not just that, these frogs are essential and most effective biological control. It kills all the forest pests like insects or other smaller bugs, other smaller frogs, which could be detrimental for various trees and plants, which we need actually for the growth of the forest. So there is no big mammals can play the role of biological pest control like a frog does. Now let's talk about spiders, the most misunderstood species in forest or any ecosystem because of their appearance. Now, what a spider does, a spider eats most of the insect pests. Not just insect pests, it kills other insects also to reduce competition over prey. So spiders are also, scientifically, spiders have been found to be used as biological pest controller for the development of forest and development of many other, sanctuaries or tree gardens, etc. If you talk about snakes, again, snakes maintain a very crucial ecological balance in a forest. A big snake can eat small snakes. Snakes eats, of course, the amphibians and other insects. By doing this, it keeps control over the population or the excessive growth of population. If there are a large number of snakes population in a particular forest, then start attracting other kind of predator, mostly big birds. It could be a serpent eagle, it could be various types of owls, or peacock itself. They prey on snakes and keep the snake population down and increase the biodiversity of the forest. So it's very clear actually that a forest doesn't have only Bengal tiger. Forest has much more to offer than a Bengal tiger. And if we are not considerate actually about preserving these species, then we'll not have forest. And if you do not have forest, there is no Bengal tiger or any other big species. You just imagine the most important aspect associated with these creatures are they can be both prey and predator, and that is a tremendous value in ecosystem they can add by being both prey and predators. So that means they can keep control over population of certain species, and at the same times there are other species also to check on their population. But for Bengal tigers or any other apex predators of the forests, mainly they are predators. They do not have any predator above them mostly, and that makes huge difference. So we definitely need those apex predators, whether it is tigers, whether it's leopards, whether it's lions, for protection of the forest, because they keep the overall population of the forest under control. They protect the forest. But for the development of the forest, for the regeneration of the forest and maintaining the growth of the forest, you cannot just live without these species. That's for sure. However, the silver lining is that ecotourism, it's no longer just focused on single species centric. Largely, it is still focused on single species, or it's still focused on Bengal tiger. The economy of tiger reserves, which I have talked about actually at the beginning of this presentation itself, is evidence of that actually, that ecotourism and wildlife photography is largely focusing towards Bengal tiger and other big mammals. But there's a shift which we can notice. I mean, I have been in some of the places which are essentially tea estates and coffee estates of Western Ghats. One place is Munnar, Coorg is another examples. And there are those places probably I have spent 3 days, 4 days in one stretch. And during my every visit, I found probably 20 to 30, up to 50 species of reptiles and frogs and insects. Most of them are endemic to those places. You can find only to those places. So tea estates and coffee estates of Western Ghats is another area where ecotourism is developing. Now, we need to understand one thing, that tea estates and coffee estates are developed by destroying forest. So huge number of biodiversity are already destroyed. But those tea estate and coffee estates are thriving for probably now from 50 to 70 years now. And this period, a microhabitat have been created in those areas, a microhabitat of these herpetofauna, the crawling creatures, snakes and the reptiles and amphibians and insects. And what these herpetofauna do for the tea estate, for the benefit of tea estate and coffee estates, as I have said, these are effective biological pest control. So they keeps all the pests which are harmful for tea estates and coffee estates away. They eat them, they kill them. And tea estates and coffee estate owners are happy because of that. And that's the reason they never kill these herpetofauna species which I'm talking about. So now there is a win-win situation. So these species have got a refuge, have got their habitat to thrive further. And owner of tea estates and coffee estates have found a solution, a natural solution to deal with their pests. They do not use chemical pesticides anymore. They get much more yield in terms of tea and coffee, and those products are purely organic in nature. So that's why there are parallel ecotourism they are promoting, they're allowing to grow in their tea and coffee estates. I have seen actually that many tea estate and coffee estate owners or their next generations have started converting into nature guide. So probably daytime they manage their tea estate and coffee estates, and the night time, when it's time, the best time actually time to look for this herpetofauna, they become nature guides and they help ecotourists and wildlife photographer spotting these species. This is exactly what I meant by inclusive ecotourism, that how such places should be the part of mainstream ecotourism, not just only tiger reserves tourism or tiger tourism. Now, this inclusive ecotourism is or should not be limited to tea estates and coffee estates. There are another set of ecosystems which are largely ignored in our country. We call them wasteland. What do you mean by wasteland? So these are basically the grassland, deserts, barren land. There could be snow-capped mountains. These are wastelands. And the fact is, these wastelands are habitat of 56 different endangered and critically endangered species of our country, which includes black buck, which includes Nilgiri thar, which includes snow leopard, Bengal florican, wild buffalo, great Indian bustards. These are the examples. So these wastelands are also potential area for ecotourism. Now, what happens if ecotourism doesn't develop in this area? If ecotourism doesn't develop in this area, if photographers do not go, if wildlife enthusiasts do not go, then these places lose a significant voice which can protect the species which thrive or survive in this type of ecosystem. Because white tiger reserves are mostly way above the touch of most of the development work. I mean, when you do development work in and around tiger reserves, we become very careful because we know that if we kind of breach into the tiger reserve area, there will be a lot of noise because tiger itself is such a popular species, not just in our country and across country. And the revenue actually generated from tiger tourism is so powerful, actually, so significant that that voice against such development cannot be ignored. But that's not the case. with these wastelands which I'm talking about. A classic example is Great Indian Bastards. So Great Indian Bastards, we all know that there are very few places, or if you do not know, then I like to tell you that there are very few places probably we can find this very region restricted species, probably not more than 100, 200 species exist actually in current world. In India, Thar Desert, which is at Jaisalmer, close to Jaisalmer actually in Rajasthan state of India, where Desert National Park is located, and you get to see one of the many places, one of the few places where you get to see Great Indian Bastards. But ironically, these places, like Jaisalmer, if you talk about it, whether the Thar Desert itself is a potential area for renewable energy. So a lot of windmills and transmission lines are installed to meet our target for generating more and more renewable energy. So what happened? These birds are quite huge bird, but they can also fly high. And more often than not, they collide with the blades of these windmills or transmission lines and then get killed. And that is one of the reasons identified by scientists as the extinction of the species. The species is at the brink of extinction. However, the tussle between the conservation of the species and the need for renewable energy is always the species which end up being at the losing end. That would not be the case if it had been a tiger reserve. Nobody would have thought about giving development priority, or they would have tried to find out another way of meeting the development need without disturbing the tiger reserves. But Great Indian Bastards, or all those species which I have talked about, being the so-called less glamorous species, do not get that type of attention. So here actually ecotourism and wildlife photography can create at least the voice. I'm not saying that ecotourism and wildlife photography are the solution. Conservationists are doing their job. But mostly the general people who actually can create the noise in a democratic political systems are not aware of conservation's findings. Conservation findings and conservation science are too complex for general people. But general people can participate in ecotourism. General people can become hobbyist wildlife photographers. And that actually can create a huge campaign in favor of preserving the species. Now, the last element of inclusive ecotourism I'd like to talk about, wetlands. The wetlands could be mangroves, wetlands could be lagoons, ponds, water bodies, rivers, salt lakes, anything. I mean, all these type of things can be part of wetlands. Comparing to those tea and coffee estates or Western Ghats, which we talked about, or the wasteland, like the desert and the grassland, or the barren land, which I've talked about, wetlands are a little more popular among ecotourists and wildlife photographers. There are two reasons behind that. Ecotourists and wildlife photographers like wetlands because these wetlands are essentially refuge of various types of birds, mainly the migratory birds. Most of the people like birds. Birds are beautiful. So that's why wetlands have some importance, or rather quite a significant importance for ecotourists and wildlife photographers. Not just that, these wetlands are also huge contributor of socioeconomic status of the local people, local community. Local communities' livelihood in a large extent depends upon these wetlands. It could be fishing, it could be agricultural support, it could be freshwater supply. Various things are there. Wetland itself are people understand the wetlands contribution in ecosystems, wetlands contribution in protecting places from any kind of climatic disaster, tsunami or flood. People understand this. So wetlands get little more, little better value or little better preference as far ecotourism and wildlife photography is concerned. But nevertheless, there are definitely it can. I mean, even the level of ecotourism and wildlife photography cannot be compared with what's there in tiger reserves, in our country. So wetland also have long way to go. The other thing actually that historically most of the wetlands in our country were hunting ground, because I have said you that these are the refuge or habitats of migratory birds. So I was in Manglajari. Probably some of you have heard of Manglajari. It's in the east coast of our country in the state of Odisha. one of the brackish water lagoon, which is located actually in the northern part of Chilka Lake, if you have heard about Chilka Lake. So at some point of time, Mangalajuri, like most of the wetlands in our country, was a hunting ground. Local people, or like we can call them poachers as well, they used to hunt migratory birds for meat. What I heard from some of the poachers when I was in Mangalajuri, all of them actually have become nature guide now. So one of them told me those birds' meats are very delicious, and that's why they used to get a lot of money than selling these birds rather than selling normal poultry birds. But over a period of time, there are a lot of awareness was developed, and it has a long history. I don't want to go into that. That these poachers understood the importance of the species. They understood the ecotourism potential of these wetlands. They understood that a lot of people can come just to see these birds, just to photograph these birds, and that could be the source of income for them. They also understood that preserved wetlands, these birds need to be preserved. If those birds do not come, over a period of time, the wetland will be also not there, and their livelihood will be threatened. They will not have places to do their fishing activities or agricultural activities. The village where they stay in the adjacent part of the wetlands can be washed away in case of any natural calamities. They understood that. So gradually they transferred from poachers to nature guides, and now they are the protector of these birds. They not let anybody to do any harm of these birds. And ecotourism, basically, it's not just ecotourism is, or if I add wildlife photography also one of the subset of ecotourism, it's not just help in preserving and conserving and raising voice for these so-called lesser known, less glamorous species, but not just help in developing economy, contributing in socio-economic structure of a country, but also can help in changing mindset of the people. It can also influence people in a positive way. The poachers can be turned into protectors. So these are the this is what basically I generally like to define as inclusive ecotourism. Ecotourism where every species has equal importance, every species have place, and people like ecotourists, including wildlife photographers, are equally eager to see all the species rather than always looking for one single species, one particular species. So how we can make an ecotourism more inclusive? First of all, we need to include ecotourism in your vacation plan. So people who, I'm talking about the general tourists, generally urban general tourists go for vacation probably twice in a year. Then at least one of them should be, dedicated for ecotourism. And even if it's once in a year, then it could be a combined vacation plan, with your typical general luxury tourism and ecotourism. For example, if you go to Goa, do not just keep yourself or confine yourself by doing or limit yourself by doing the pub hopping or beach hopping. Goa has some amazing ecotourism places, Ghat, Molen bird sanctuaries, Salimari bird sanctuaries. Many general tourists probably do not even know that Goa has huge potential to ecotourism. I'm giving just an example. Yeah, if you go to out of country, we go to Indonesia, do not just go to Bali, go to Sumatra also. If you go to Nepal, do not just limit yourself in traveling in Tamil area or the Darbar Square. Also go to Chitwan and Parsa. If you go to Bhutan, we all know the ecotourism potential of Bhutan, but Bhutan also known for spiritual tourism and general tourism. So do not just limit yourself by visiting Tiger Nest or visiting all the the Buddhist monasteries, which are equally important. But if you go to those monasteries, for example, the Punakhazong, one of the oldest monastery of Bhutan, if you go to Punakhazong, spend some time in Punakha River also. You may get to see some migratory bar-headed grease. You may get to see some Palaces fishigull. And if you are lucky, then you probably also get to see white-bellied heron, which is critically endangered. Again, around 1,200, not more than 1,200 species are there. So this is actually, that ecotourism need to be inculcated in every tourist's, general activities, general tourism activities. And the second important thing is, do not just focus on big cats or big mammals. When you look for destinations, look for a holistic ecosystems completely, and try to understand actually that why even for your beloved big cats, big mammals, if you want to conserve them, you need to conserve the forest itself, and those species who actually contribute in development of the forest need to be conserved first. Otherwise, there'll be no forest, there'll be no big cat or big mammals. So this is what actually I mean by inclusive ecotourism, and I thought I should convey this message to every enthusiast, nature enthusiast, wildlife enthusiast, and the potential tourists, ecotourists. This is all about the learning. Actually, around 10 years, although 20 years I'm in this profession of sustainability, but actively started participating in ecotourism / wildlife photography probably 10 years back. And when I started my journey, I was a single species focused ecotourist. I was only looking for Bengal tigers. And then, as I told you, that I met many people in this process, and my interaction with these many people kind of let me understand, kind of allow me to realize that this is not a sustainable tourism, that looking for one single species. And then when I started finding solution for that, I found the concept of inclusive ecotourism. So all those things actually I'm putting together. This is the current book which I'm working on, and there'll be more elaboration actually that how we can achieve inclusive ecotourism, and if we do not achieve inclusive ecotourism, what would be the downfall or shortfalls of that. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Based on my best knowledge, I'll try to answer.
Beautiful, beautiful session.
Yeah, wonderful.
Wonderful one.
Like,
And I'm very sure we will definitely put this session up on YouTube as well. And I'm very sure that many people who are into this wildlife tourism and all, they would definitely look into it.
Seriously, it was a wonderful show, wonderful thing. Anavda means actually in person, I had to lot of things to learn from you. Like the economy is not only based on the big tigers, and it has been in the complete ecosystem, including all the small pests, the prey and predators. Everything is there. So means it was wonderful insight from your side. And one important thing, like all the national parks are making money in crores, and 1 rupee invested into it gives you around 200 times means the return. So that is a big investment.
2,500.
2,500.
1 rupee, 2,500. Just imagine.
My God, my God, my God. It is much better than the stock investments that we do.
Yeah. Buy tiger reserve. Don't buy stock.
So, and definitely it goes beyond big mammals, and like in the Kali Tiger Reserve, you mentioned like the Malabar pied on bill. Again, this was something that I actually did not know, and you also shared various stories and unknown aspects of different things that exist in the nature and tiger reserves. And you also shared about the hunting, how hunting was there, and how hunting fell down. Then you also share about bugs and reptiles and their contribution in the whole ecosystem. The pest control by the frog and spider. I mean, they are actually the contributors. It is just like whether a political leader might be having the biggest positions across, but it is actually the local karyakartas who actually do. So these bugs, frogs, spiders, everybody contributes in a way or whether they are unsung or not is something different. But thanks for sharing all these insights, Anavda, and looking forward to have more from you and more learning from your side. So I really am humbled to have you here. And on behalf of all the people present here, the team members of Exploring Nature, I really owe a big thank to you, sir. Thank you so
I
very
think
much.
we have
Yeah.
a question. Mr. Arvind Kumar has
Yes.
raised his hand. Please, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen, and thank you so much, Arnabda. This has been a very insightful presentation, and it actually clearly shows how well versed you are with this very hot subject, which has not garnered enough attention. And rightfully, you pointed out about the huge commercial potential this has. if it can be structured in the right manner. So I think this has been a very valuable presentation. At the same time, I will start. We can start working on some kind of a business model, how it can be integrated
Absolutely.
within
Absolutely.
the exploring nature fold. So that's how the journey starts. In fact, I'm traveling, but still I was able to listen to the whole presentation.
Thank you so much.
Very succinctly put, very nicely and condensed and to the
Very
point.
nice.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Wonderfully, wonderfully explained, basically.
Seriously, sir.
And and I think Arnab, even in Panna Tiger Reserve also, when the tiger got extinct over there, so that time the guides were only showing the birds,
Yes.
and that's how Panna again flourished.
So showing
And,
birds in mostly, and is a stopgap arrangement. When you do not see tiger, I mean, of course, people say if you go to Bandhavgarh, you go to Ranthambore, you'll see tiger, but that's not the case, because
yes,
eventually those are wild animals. So if you are at the right time at the right place, then you'll get to see.
yes, exactly.
So once in probably 3 occasions or 4 occasions, there's a day when you do not see tiger. And that is the day actually when your nature guides try to show birds. But the flip side of these, because these nature guides are losing touch of spotting birds. These nature guides, when they started their career, probably they're very good. But over a period of time, chasing tiger throughout the day. So one bad day when you don't see tiger, they actually struggle to show you the birds, to help you to identify birds. Maximum they can show you a serpent eagle. I have seen an experienced nature guide is getting confused between a baza and a peregrine.
Right.
Okay.
I'm basically 2 different types of raptors. I don't want to complicate by using this kind of jargon, but 2 different types of raptors. Basically.
In fact, in Spiti, most of them they come for snow leopards, right?
Yeah.
But apart from that, there are variety of birds.
Yeah.
There are variety of birds.
Of
There
course.
are red foxes. Even snow cock is there.
Yeah.
There are many things available here.
Western Himalayas, paradise of
Crazy.
birds.
And I
Spiti
just
has
went crazy here.
Spiti is amazing for birds actually. but
Amazing,
nobody cares.
amazing. Yeah, amazing. In fact, once I was about 3 hours, for 3-4 hours, I was just I was in a deep. There is a place near to Kaza and Ki. In between, there is a place where you get many good species of birds. So that place was fully covered by snow till the knee, and I spent 3 hours over there. And after that, really I had I had like severe I got cold because of my feet were went numb because of my shoes become wet, and I was about to have frostbite, so I had to change my socks and all. That day I had to change my socks twice. Luckily I was carrying the spare socks with me, and those 3 hours were like a blessing to me. The types of bird I captured, they were like drinking water from the lake. That was amazing. The frozen, everything was frozen basically over there.
You can do amazing bird watching in all the tiger reserves.
Now, in fact, I felt that
you should have that mindset. I mean,
now, in fact, I felt that many birds are migrating now because the snow is melting here. So most of the birds from the low level land are migrating up again.
Absolutely.
Any more questions from anyone? I think you can Satyendra ji, you can go ahead.
Yes, please.
You are mute. Satyendra ji, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm there. Okay. So again, as everybody said, everybody voted that it was a wonderful show from Arnab, and again, on behalf of everyone, I owe a big thanks to you, sir. And just before actually we part, we just want a promise from you that whenever we seek your guidance and your advice and your insights, so you should be always there, sir. So, Arnab, we seek a permission from you and a confirmation from your side, sir. Right? And it's around 8:30 p.m. and it's high time that we go forward and announce the wildlife awards, that photography awards that we do under the banner of exploring nature. So
No,
this
actually,
is
it's not a photography award. It's basically a wildlife award for the wildlife trackers.
wildlife trackers. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it is like wildlife hero awards. And again, the trackers are actually champions who look after the nature and different flora and fauna across. And they are the people actually who are there on the grounds, protecting forests and animals they that might disappear in future forever. So we owe a big thanks to them, and obviously we want to recognize their contribution across, just to celebrate their bravery and promise to take the care of our beautiful world for the future. So on the exploring nature is willing to announce the wildlife hero awards. Uh, the wildlife awards have been given to various people who are there, the trackers of Palamau Tiger Reserve. We have done this in past. Then these were the heroes of Palamau Tiger Reserve that was given in 2024. Uh, then again, these are the guardians who have been there at PTR. As you can see, they are always there. And again, as we know that exploring nature is what? Exploring nature is the community of like-minded people, as I said in the earlier session. And we owe a big thanks to the people across, and we want to build a community so that we actually sing the tunes and rhythms of the nature, and we want to safeguard the environment. We want to build a sustainable and harmonious coexisting system so that there is between humanity and nature. uh, Obviously, the future generations don't want to miss the elements, the flora, fauna across, and they just don't want to see in the books and pictures. They actually want to see in the nature. So, who is going to take care of them? These are the people, obviously, the valiant guardians of the jungle. So, we want to thank them. We want to recognize their contribution, and what else can be a better option than the Wildlife Hero Awards that we do under the banner of Exploring Nature, and that will be done on 6th October 2024 at 7 p.m. So it's around, let us say, 4 months to go, 4 or 5 months to go. So we just announced on this glorious platform the Wildlife Hero Awards, and the time starts now. The clock is going to tick from now, and we have very good supports from Nicole, the Jais, the Lions, We Naturalists, History, Zo, Manfrotto, and other prominent sponsors are there. The supporters are there, and we want to see your support as well, your enthusiastic participation. So it's we announced this thing, and over to Mukul if he wants to say something to all this.
Absolutely, absolutely everything is absolutely. It was amazing webinar. I'm very much thankful to Arnabda, and I'm very much thankful to Mr. Satinder ji who hosted the webinar, and I'm really honored for this particular event.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to say something or share their insights, share something about this whole program that was conducted here. If not, we can call it off day.
Yes, please, anyone whoever wish to talk about your expertise or anything can definitely reach us on Exploring Nature. We also have our community on Facebook, so you can join our community, and you can be with us forever, and let us make this world a better place to live.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sabji. Thank you.
Bye bye.